And then that's when I decided to get into real estate. And I'm like, you know what? I'm worth more than this, and I'm gonna go out and make my own life, my own career. And then counseling. I'm also a financial counselor, a marriage counselor, a business counselor. So we're all technically competing against each other as realtors, right? But we don't have that atmosphere here. The clients come first, agents are a close second, and the brokerage and the firm they'll make a little money if these people are happy. Actually, I'm going to have a kidney transplant. So I've thought about that because, this is kind of personal, but you don't know if your life is going to end.
Hi, everyone. So today we have a very special guest here with us, our very own broker from Keller Williams Siouxland, Kevin Archer. Thank you, Kevin, for being here with us today.
Oh, Kim, I'm so happy to be here. I think what you're doing is amazing, and I'm super, super proud of you for doing it. So I'm honored to be here.
Thank you so much. It's so exciting to be here and kind of learn more about you and what made you get started in real estate. What made you to get into real estate?
Yeah, I've, so I used to work for the power company, Mid-American Energy. I worked there for 8 years, and I had this entrepreneurial feeling that I'm worth more than what they were paying me. And so what I did was I actually transitioned and I bought a business, a franchise. It was called Surface Doctor, and we refinished bathtubs and kitchen cabinets and countertops. And so it was like a remodeling alternative, and did really well with that. But I got there again, I hit another plateau where I just thought, this just isn't me. And so I was actually grubby every day and painting bathtubs in people's houses and all masked up and, making sure around chemicals and all that kind of stuff. And I just thought, okay, there's something better. And so I had a chance to sell that. And so I went back to Briar Cliff on evenings and weekends. This is how crazy I am. Went back to Briar Cliff on evenings and weekends, and I had 2 little girls, and then that's when I decided to get into real estate. And I'm like, you know what? I'm worth more than this, and I'm going to go out and make my own life, my own career. So I did that, and that was in 2002. So I'm in my 23rd year.
23rd year in real estate. Yeah. That is amazing. And how long were you a realtor before you became a broker?
So I worked for another firm in town for 14 years. Mm-hmm. And you're going to see a pattern here because I get to a certain point and I hit a ceiling and then I change. I will not stand for status quo. I hit that ceiling and I change. And so at that time I could feel the market changing. I could feel the industry changing, and the firm wasn't changing. And it was I'm a people person. I love people.
Yeah.
And that's a blessing and a curse. So, but my phone's ringing. Anyway, so what I did was we were looking around. I actually thought about getting out of the business. I had a whole nother business plan started where I was going to, do some house rehabs and things like that. And all of a sudden I stumbled across, I was in a CE class in Sioux Falls, and I stumbled across the Keller Williams philosophy, the Y4C 2Ts and our culture and all that. And so I'm like, this truly is a business model that puts people first. And that is what I wanted. And so we got a group of people together along with Casey Bell, and we started this firm. And so I was the broker here from day one. So, I had to do the broker upgrade classes and all that. And I just had no fear. And it's been pretty awesome. We've had highs, and we've had lows, and it has not been easy. But I'll tell you, like, now that we've been open 9 years now, and I look back and I think we've changed a lot of lives.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of people that have come in here and they didn't, they had 3 jobs. Chance Eaton is one of them. Aaron Tyler had 3 jobs, and now he's making a lot of money. And so I love it. And so that is what motivates me to keep doing that. So definitely not easy. So
So for people that don't know the difference between a realtor and a broker, how would you explain that to them?
So, so a realtor is responsible for, taking care of their clients. And so they lead generate, they prospect, they, find people that are looking to buy or sell homes. And so they do that and they close the transaction and that's it. To where the broker, I'm responsible for every single license in here. And so I'm responsible for the trust accounts to make sure that you have accurate accounting of trust accounts. If there's any E&O claims, I take care of all that. Training, I mean, that's a huge thing, is, making sure that everybody's taken care of on training. And then, any litigation, any of that kind of stuff. So it is a lot of stuff happens behind the scenes. I don't tell everybody what I'm doing all the time, but it's always, and then counseling. I'm also a financial counselor, a marriage counselor, a business counselor. And that's one thing, to go backwards a little bit. Nobody at my old firm, nobody taught me how to be a business person. They taught me how to be an agent, but they didn't teach me how to be a business person. Here, we teach people how to be business people. Real estate is a business; it's not a job. So that's a big deal, and that's part of being a broker, is getting people to have that mindset. So,
and I just really want people to understand that he's still doing the job of a realtor too, on top of like everything else that you explained, the responsibilities of a broker. And I just want to tell everybody that when I first started in real estate and I had no clue what I was doing, I'd call Kevin and he was always there for me. So, I mean, just hearing so many responsibilities, and still, you were answering the phone, answering my text messages. If I needed a signature of any form, you were there. Yeah. So,
because I want you to succeed. That's my heart. And that's when I get up every day, that's what I do. And I want you guys to succeed.
And I truly believe that. Because right there that we're talking about this, I want to touch on another point for people that are interested in getting in real estate, but they're probably afraid of making that step because of, like, there's so many things that are in the media right now, and that's kind of like making them fearful of like just going for it. What advice would you give them?
I always say, trust in yourself. And, I think the people that do the best in real estate are the people who have a really good personal interaction skills and have a big sphere of influence. So if you, if you have a lot of people that are friends and family, that's how you get started. But you need to think through it and you need to plan it, but don't be afraid of it. And we're okay with people starting part-time. And what we'll do is we'll interview someone, and if we feel that they're a really good, I call it a risk, not really a risk, but if they're a good bet, then we're going to bet on them, and we'll let them start part-time, and we'll do some training on evenings and weekends when we have to. And if they're willing to do that, then they'll get to the point. We call it the Quitters Club. And I can't tell you, we've had so many people that are members of the Quitters Club and where they quit their job.
I love that.
The day that Chance did it, I was and he just did it because he believed in himself and he trusted the process. And so if somebody's thinking about getting into real estate, we would love to talk to you, to them, because we can give you a window into that. And then also, we've been doing it long enough to where, Chris and I, and others within the firm can sit down, Ashley, and figure out if that's a good risk.
Yeah.
And so then you can start part-time, and then we would love to transition you into full-time.
And it's so motivating hearing stories like that, like Chance and Aaron, that they started and me. And, just hearing all these stories from them, because they were working full-time, many hours, sometimes overtime, and they still went for it. And
Aaron didn't have a day off in years because he was working all three jobs. And that's just, and you see him now, and guess what? He still works just as hard, but he's making a lot more money.
So hardworking definitely has to be one of the qualities to make it. That's the pattern I'm seeing here. And so with that, what qualities would you say are important to become a successful realtor?
So discipline in doing some activities. And when I say that, what we try to do is time block a certain amount of time, usually in the morning, for lead generation, because that's the most important part of being a realtor, is getting, having those leads. And there's a couple different philosophies. You can buy leads, and have them come in, but usually you're paying 35 or 40% of each one of those leads that come in. To where if you do really good lead generation, then that is what's gonna get you going and set you apart. And it's kind of like a snowball. Once you get one or two clients, you get that, all of a sudden it gets exciting, and you get you're more confident. And as you go through that, you just end up being a different person. And so again, when I say no fear, it's that entrepreneurial spirit that you want to be your own boss. I always say I'm the worst boss I've ever had because I'm very hard on myself, and I'm the one that pushes myself. And, but yeah, so that, and then also just don't be afraid to talk to people, engage people.
Yeah.
I always say it's really simple. Real estate is really simple, but it's not easy. And so you just have to go out there and I tell everybody, when you're out and about, if you have kids, you know what? Your lead generation is where your kids are. Soccer games and basketball games. It's at church. It's at the gas station. It's at the grocery store. I tell this story all the time. Mindy Mullen was struggling with getting some leads. And I said, okay. So what are you doing today? And she goes, well, I got to, pick Clayton up at such and such a time. And then we have practice. And then I got to go to the store. And I said, okay, here's my challenge. I said, when you go to the grocery store, I said, put your name tag on. And when you see people, a lot of times you're in the grocery store, you hide from people. It's like, I don't want to talk. No, engage people. So if you see somebody, you have your name tag on and you say, hey, John, how you doing? Hey, what have you been doing? And they see that name tag, and people always want to talk about two things: weather and real estate. And so when they see your name tag, they're like, hey, how's your business going? And it becomes a natural conversation. And then you can say, and people have made a lot of money off this, and you can say, hey, do you know anybody that's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, I was talking to so-and-so. That's how easy it is. And she she ended up with 3 leads that day. And so it absolutely works.
That's amazing.
Yep.
This is just an example, of all the good things that come from just working hard and being present more than anything. Just
100%.
showing up, just showing up, and makes a difference, and
just like being in the office, I always say business generates business. Yeah. And so, when our office is full and buzzing, and, that's business being done. And, we had, so Mindy Mullen again walked in, and, Sue Stanek was standing at the front desk. And so she says, oh my God, I have to sell a house by 5 p.m. tonight. Otherwise we're going to lose this other house that they bought. And I said, okay, let's get this done. Mindy walks in literally while we're having this conversation. And she goes, I have to sell this house by 5 o'clock tonight. Well, what is it? Such and such, 3-bed, 2-bath up on, I think it was Douglas Street. And Mindy goes, well, I need one of those. It was sold by noon.
Nice.
Yep. And again, those people now are they're going to be selling again. And so because Mindy did such a good job with those guys and Sue did such a good job with those guys, they have clients for life.
Yeah. People remember. And that just shows that we never stop thinking about our clients wherever we are. We're hustling to get houses sold, to find a house for our people. And I've heard quite a few stories like that, just being in the office and then deals get done, or with me, learning so many things just walking by, hearing a conversation. I'm like, wait, what? I didn't know that.
Exactly.
And that's
why we love to have the office full, because that's when growth happens. So I love it.
And there's just like a different energy in the office when everybody's here, like team meetings and everybody's chatting. And I love to think that that's part of our culture of who we are, you know, that nobody's gatekeeping anything. You know, we're always giving each other advice, even the brand new ones.
That's a huge point. So I'm glad you brought that up, because we're a culture of learning until you are dead. And so the gatekeeper, so we're all technically competing against each other as realtors, right? But we don't have that atmosphere here. We help if you need help. I mean, and if toes get stepped on, that's one of the things that I, deal with. And there's always going to be that. But we always find a really good resolution for it. And so when you, and that's how you do the best job for your clients, because you're learning and growing all the time.
And I will say that one of the things I did learn from here is, I chose Keller Williams because of its training. You know, I'm a person that loves to always be learning, and I saw that here.
Yeah.
But from being here, first I thought it was going to be very competitive. Okay. But it's like one of the very first things that I learned is like, yeah, technically we are competition, but I mean, at the end of the day, like the work you put into your business is what you're going to get out of it.
Yep.
You know, so why are we going to be competing with someone else when at the end of the day it's us? You know, we got to reflect on our own job.
Family. Yeah. And that's what we want, is that family atmosphere here, that they know, that I have your back, and you know that, Ashley has your back, and anybody here, we're very protective that way. So.
And how would you, in your own words, describe KW culture?
People first. So we have, what we call our Y4C2Ts. It's our belief system. And so as the broker, I operate that, it's win-win or no deal. I know I have it memorized, but communication, clients, all that. And then in the end, it's results through people, and it's with people. And that's how we succeed. So, I believe in that fully. And again, it's a whole different idea. I always say the older broker model is like a kingdom, to where, the brokers first and the agents and then the clients, and then the agents are at the bottom, to where we actually are upside down. The clients come first, agents are a close second, and the brokerage and the firm they'll make a little money if these people are happy. And so it is a completely different idea. So, and it's not for everybody. There are people that it doesn't fit, and and that's okay. We love them, and we're not a match. So,
that's okay.
But again, we work really hard to make sure that that people come first.
Yeah, and I truly believe it shows.
Yeah.
We're saying it right now, but you can. Yeah, it definitely does show. So earlier on, we were talking about you plateauing and then like pursuing something else, and you just know in your heart when it's time for more.
You do.
What is your next goal? What do you hope to accomplish next?
So that's a good question. So I've actually had some health issues, which I've had actually. I'm going to have a kidney transplant. So I've thought about that, because this is kind of personal, but you don't know if your life is going to end. I mean, I'm currently on dialysis and all this stuff, and it's just a whole different mindset. And so I haven't had that. I haven't had that stirring that I have had before, just because I've been so preoccupied with that. But I mean, honestly, I think, when I get through this, and I've got my transplant coming up on April 24th. So when I get through that, I am thinking to myself, I have to take a really good look at where I'm going. Obviously my goal is to have the firm be number one market share, and I want our agents to be, the most profitable. profit is not a dirty word. I mean, we teach profit. And so, again, that's a lot of my motivation. So, then I have to look at where I'm at. I'm 50, when am I 57? So, at some point in time, I won't be in this. Some people stay until they're, there was one guy, Dean Chapman, who's in the business for like 50 years, and he stayed in until the day he passed away, and he was 90 years old. And you can do that if you want to. So yeah, I want to travel. So,
yeah, you got to take care of yourself first more than anything.
For sure.
Yeah.
And if you don't have your health, you don't have a business.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
And I've struggled with that, honestly. When you're in the trenches and you're doing, there was one year I did 115 transactions by myself. 115. This was before we had our transaction coordinator with Teresa and before I had Charity, and 115 transactions. And it was brutal. I mean, I literally was sick you just work yourself to where you're sick. So you have to have the balance. And here it's, one of our tenets also is God, family, and then business. And it's not a religious statement. It's honestly, it's nature. It's fact that, there's a higher power, no matter what you believe. And you understand that, hey, you're okay spiritually, and then you're okay with your family, and then your business is going to thrive. If you have that balance. If you get out of balance, it gets weird.
Yeah, it's a balance, like you said right now, because I mean, like if you don't have that taken care of, how can you take care of others?
You can't. Yep. And it's true, because I've lived it, and and I guess maybe you just gave me an idea. So, maybe that's what I want to do is teach.
Oh, nice.
Maybe.
Yes.
I never thought about that.
That's a great idea. But I see you doing that.
I have so many experiences, and I mean, I've learned the hard way, and I've done some stupid stuff. And if I can take somebody like you that's, newer, and really, have you smooth out that road for you, I'd love to do that. So, maybe you just did that for me.
We need that. And honestly, like whenever you've done classes and trainings here, when I first started, I needed that so much, because I didn't come from a background where I knew real estate. So when I came in, I feel like I was like a little baby chick, like what's going on, but
and it feels like you're learning like from a fire hose.
Yes, exactly. So everything you would teach us is like engraved in my mind. And let me tell you, you are a very good teacher. I think you would do so amazing. Yeah.
So, okay. So here's one thing I like to tell newer agents, and especially somebody that's thinking about getting in the business. People think that they know 5% and they have to learn 95% to know real estate. That is it's opposite. Because of who you are and who you know, and your past experiences and your life experiences and all of that, all your previous jobs, all your previous relationships, you are 95% of who you need to be in real estate. And you have to learn the 5%. And we teach you that 5%. And if you go in with that mindset, then you're not scared of anything.
Yeah.
And so it makes it way less overwhelming.
Yeah, that is so true.
Yeah.
And plus, when you really care, you truly care about others, it's not challenging in the way that, you have to know everything.
Yep.
Because you'll be like, okay, I don't know this, but I will ask.
Yeah.
I'll find out.
Always ask. Yeah. And you're going to get an answer from anybody. Everybody's more than willing to help. And that's a huge part of being successful. So,
and I started real estate like in a tricky, situation with the shift going on. And I hear about how the market used to be back then, but that you have so much experience, 23 years, what would you say the market was back then versus how it is now? Honestly,
so when I first got in 2002, it was interest rates were at like 7%, 6.5%, 7. So about what they are today. And when they went down to 5%, it was like, oh, we couldn't believe it. It was this will never happen again as long as we're around. Well, then, you have the anomaly of what, with the economy being so robust, and then you have the interest rates going down to 2%, that just fueled a fire. And so what we've done now is we've come back to normal. This is really a normal market. You've got a pretty good balance between buyers and sellers. A seller's market is not good for buyers. And a buyer's market is not good for sellers, so we're really in a pretty good balance now. Even with the interest rates up, historically, my first house that I bought when I was 20, 21 or 22 years old. So 22, I was 22, and it was 10.5%.
No way.
Yeah.
10.5%.
10.5%. And so, it was only a $35,000 house, but still at that time, that was a lot of money. And so, just in hindsight, nowadays there's so many more options, you can pay closing costs. And so much easier for people to get into a house now. So
there is. Wow.
Yeah. So the market we're in a pretty good balanced market now.
And that's what a shift is, right? Kind of, it's just like it went through something, COVID and going down to
my gosh.
a 2%, or was it 3% that
it got down to 2. I don't want to brag, but this is the only thing I'll brag about in my life is I have a 1.875% mortgage.
Whoa.
Yeah, so
that is so cool. And no, like that is actually really cool that you mentioned that, because I feel like so many sellers, people that own their home are afraid to sell because they don't want to let go of that.
Right.
But I think it's a great opportunity to actually keep that, but invest.
Yes.
Invest in, like another house. And
now is a perfect time to invest. And now there's no better way to create personal wealth than through real estate. You can't do the stock market and have the returns that you have. And especially if you, Gary Keller always says, it depends on your philosophy, but most people, especially have a normal job and, you're working there, you can buy a rental house and really, and there's different ways you can get in there with not a lot of money out of pocket. And then you get into that and all of a sudden somebody's making your house payment every month. And, if you do a 10 or 15-year note on it, and all of a sudden within, in that 10-year period of time, you're doing two things. You're paying down the mortgage and you have market appreciation. So, as that starts, paying down the mortgage, market appreciation, all of a sudden you have this huge asset that's sitting there that you can pay for your kid, sell it, pay for your kid's college. You can, keep it, hold it, or you can, I know a guy that he had a portfolio that he had for years. And when he got ready to retire, he sold his entire portfolio and he took his $3 million that other people paid for and then invested that up in Okoboji. And so he moved up to Okoboji and is basically retired, but he still has his other investments up there. So, having that wealth in an asset like that allows you to live a great life. So, if you're going to invest, and this is my personal opinion, hire a property manager. So you're not the one getting a phone call at 2 a.m. My faucet's leaking. So hire a property manager, and that's what they do. So that'll take that, so if you're getting $1,000 a month rental income, it's usually anywhere from 8 to 10% to manage it. So if it's 10, you're knocking off $100 a month. Well, you're paying $100 a month to not have phone calls, and it literally becomes an asset that's just behind. It's sitting out there and it's just working for you. So
no, that is so worth it, because time is so valuable, and more than anything, receiving those calls.
Yeah.
People don't want to be dealing with that.
Yeah.
And lately I've been getting asked a lot about investing in real estate, but they don't know how to start. What would you say is a good way to start?
And I know you've seen and read the Millionaire Real Estate Investor book. We have that at our office. Anybody you have that's thinking about it, grab one of those books for them and sit down, and they will have no fear at the end when they read that book. And you can do books on tape. also it's actually Gary's voice on there. And I think that's the best way to coach them through that. And then also, again, meet with a property manager and just find out what to expect. And then connect with, you as a realtor. And what you're going to do is you're going to find them the best deal that they can find on a property that fits their needs, their investment needs.
Thank you so much for that advice. I think that's going to be very helpful.
It's life-changing, Kim, seriously.
And sometimes
I think to buy one.
Yeah, I know. I think it's made out to be more complicated than it actually is.
Right.
It's not that complicated. It's responsibility, but I mean, it's a responsibility that's going to make you money.
It pays off.
Yeah.
When you get to the end and you have that asset sitting there and it's like, where did that 10 years go? And now it's paid off, Yeah. And again, you can choose to do with that whatever you want to. Hold it, sell it, transfer it into something else. So
yeah. And, like right now that you said, like hold it or sell it, there are people that have asked me also, how do I get to a house of this range, but they're just starting off. Yeah. And I'll usually tell them, like not everybody starts off at the top. They start off with a smaller property, then they live in it for a couple years, keep maintaining it, sell it, and then get another one.
Yeah, because again, and it's what I just talked about. You're paying your loan down, and you have market appreciation, and then you take that equity and you put that into the next house, and then it happens again. And I've got a great example of that. This friend of mine, when he was young, we looked at houses, and he was very tentative on whether or not to buy. And if he sees this, I'm talking to you. And so we looked, and he bought a house that was $70,000. And so it was me, and then his parents were kind of coaching him as well. And at closing, he actually went out and threw up in the front yard because he was so worked up and nervous.
What?
Swear. And so, and just so you know, he, fast forward, he's lived in that one for a few years. He sold it. He made a ton of money on it, and he was really diligent about paying his stuff down. And he made a lot of money. If I remember right, he tripled his money on that house. And then he is now currently in a $450,000 house and loves it. And he knows, that's not his forever house either. So he'll be able to upgrade again. And so now that he understands that, it makes it easier. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Equity.
That's something that buying a home can really do for you. And just not be afraid of making that decision, going for it, whether it's a seller or a buyer, because I know that with so many things, again, going on in the media, I feel like there are people that they want to make the move. They're just unsure of it. Yeah.
And that's what we do. So and there are some people that need to sit back. And so we are, and I joked earlier about being, a guidance counselor, a marriage counselor, a financial counselor. We are that, and we're good at it. And, and when you get to know somebody, you can figure, and I've had people that I just say, let's hold off a little bit. And, and then we come up with a plan, or if their credit isn't perfect, meet with them, counsel through that. And then we come up with a plan on how to, get to where they want to be. And then you can do that. And by doing that, number one, you're making a friend, and you're building trust, and, you're building that relationship. And real estate is all about relationships. So, so if they're sitting back, reach out to you, and you will absolutely coach them through that. So,
and I think
that's the fun part.
That's a perfect example of how, because when I get calls, sometimes they're like, hey, you're that lady that sells houses. And I just really wish it would be more out there that, okay, we have access to the houses that are for sale, but in reality, no, we're representing you. We're looking out for you, your best interest, not us, because we're not really and this is kind of where it contradicts itself, because yes, we do sell, but at the end of the day, it's for their own good, for what fits them in that moment. And that's why it's so important to get to know them as well.
So here's what I say about that. Just so you know, I have never sold anything. I find things that people want to buy.
Yeah.
And if you have that mentality, you are going to be really successful. And And again, when I show a house, I walk through and I am there to be their protector. And that is, we have fiduciary duties to be their protector. So when I walk through a house, you kind of have to be careful with video, but I say a lot of times, hey, hey, you know what? This is a great house. It's super solid, but it's probably going to need a roof and a furnace. And, there's other times the layout may not be right because you get to know them really well. But when you walk into the house, everybody knows it. Yeah. I know it. They know it. And you don't sell anything. And I always say, if you find yourself selling, then you're probably doing something wrong. So, but you're an expert in the market. You are an expert in, in the negotiation process. You're an expert in inspections, and you're there to protect them.
I agree 100%.
Yeah. So, and if you do that, which I know you do, you already have a great following. So, and it's education. You're educating them too. So,
yeah, that's so true. And I love that we all think the same way. We're in sync with that.
Yeah.
That we're here to protect our buyer, our seller. Sorry. I forgot to mute my watch.
Yeah, my phone's been buzzing over here too.
But I'm so interested to know, can you share with us, you probably have so many stories, but what is one that like so memorable?
The best story actually happened. It was one of the first houses I sold. And there was a younger Hispanic couple. So just to give you a backstory. So he worked at IBP. He moved here, worked at IBP for 11 years. And his wife and son were in Mexico still. And he saved and he sent money back and he saved. And he got to the point where they came to the States, and she was working on her citizenship, and home ownership is the American dream. And so when they closed, it was the neatest day, because that is the American dream. And they worked so hard for it. And to see their son on the front porch of their new house, and that still affects me to this day. And I'm so proud of that. And I've seen many stories like that, but that is the best one. I just love those guys. So it's neat. And I'm sure, and they still live there actually. So he's been there. What? They've been in that house for, 22 or 23 years now. And I'm sure it's paid off.
Probably.
So and here again, so he's got this huge asset, and his family's here, and all that hard work paid off. So
that's so beautiful.
I love it.
Yeah, because I feel like we go through so many, cases like that, but it always feels like we're part of it too.
It is. You're their family, for that period of time. And there's, honestly, I have so many people that have become friends and have become family that are my clients. And that's what makes me proud. And that's what gets me up in the morning are those relationships. So
that's so beautiful. Yeah. I'm so glad that we had this conversation.
Yeah.
I feel like I learned so much about you too.
I know. And I'm usually the clapper.
We have not been moving.
I know. Oh. There he goes. That's awesome. Start over.
We were deep in conversation.
Well, and again, I don't, because I'm busy all the time and working, I don't have time to share that with a lot of people. So thank you for this. This is going to help me do that.
This is perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming here and sharing so many stories with us and your valuable insights too.
Well, and you always know I'm here for you. So
I do.
Anytime you need me. So, and I'm so proud of you for doing this. Do not quit. Do not quit. I know it takes time out of your day and it's hard to do. Don't quit.
Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Yeah. This will set and this can get you going, and you never know what's going to be the next step. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Love
Yeah. I'm beginning to feel like you're chasing, and like you can see like when you start growing.
Yeah. You can,
Yeah.
you can, and just remember, there are going to be really hard times. And I've had times when I've literally broken phones. I've had temper tantrums. I've, yelled and screamed at the people I love. And, and then you get through that and you realize, well, that was dumb, and you really have to have faith. And again, it's part of that being okay spiritually, having that faith to know that it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Whatever the outcome, it's going to be okay. And so when you get in the hard times, don't give up. Do not give up, because you don't let the world win.
Thank you.
So
amazing advice.
you're
Yeah,
gonna do
because especially like when you care so much.
Yeah. Yep. And that's the hard part.
Yeah.
And you care so much, and if something happens and you feel bad for them, and it's like, then you put that on yourself.
Yeah.
But again, usually you can see what's coming and plan for it. But that's our job, is to help with those guys, to get to that point. So, yeah.
What would you tell yourself when you first started, if you knew like everything you were going to go through?
Oh, my, you know what? If I knew then what I knew now, man, I'd be so much, I would have been much more relaxed.
So relaxed.
Because my anxiety goes crazy sometimes. But, I would say that if I could go back and just say one thing and say I always call it, my past self or my future self. And I actually plan for my future self. Anyway, and that's weird, but it's we have a class called Bold. Have you taken Bold yet?
Not yet.
Okay.
I didn't have the opportunity to go.
And they'd go through this thing where they talk to your future self. And that is eye-opening, to say, your future self, are you disappointed in what I did today? Or should, if I work hard today, I'm going to be successful then. So, but my past self, I would say, it's all going to be okay. It's going to work out, and you're going to be really proud of where you're at when you get to that point. And that would have gave me a lot of calmness. And, because, I teach a class called Emotional Health in Real Estate, and I kind of go through a little bit of my story, and I'm really dead honest about, there was a year, 2017, when I was an absolute disaster, emotionally, spiritually, everything. And I ruined friendships, and I've gained a few of them back by apologizing and being real. And, a friend of mine she was a banker here, and I was actually representing her, and they were difficult to work with, but it's not a big deal. It was my fault. And
It was just in that moment.
Sent him this really mean text, because I was so frustrated. And then, so we were no longer friends for years. And so like 3 years later, I went to her and I apologized profusely, and we're really good friends again. So yeah, so it's a emotionally intense business, and you just have to be able to manage that. So, but yeah, and that's, going back to my past self, I would tell him that it's going to be okay. Everything does work out for a reason. So.
Damn, that was deep. That was deep and beautiful.
Yeah, you need to come. I'm going to be teaching my emotional health class, and it is really good.
Because I think that's something that, we all go through. It's something that we can all take something from.
Yep.
And even people watching, not necessarily in real estate, but
everything.
We're human.
So this emotional health class, it does. I get specific on some things, but as a broad view, if people take it, it will help them. Absolutely. Because I've been through a lot of counseling.
No, I can see though. I can see like how that can happen.
Yeah.
Even like me just starting off.
Yeah.
Because this is my second year, but sometimes I feel like I'm new still, because every deal is like so different.
Yeah.
Every transaction, like some will go so smooth.
I still learn to this day. Every deal is different.
Yeah.
Different people, different bankers, different houses. And I always joke, this is my joke before we get done, this would be a great business if it wasn't for the houses and the people. And ironically, it's all about the houses and the people. And that's, I joke because, when somebody's going through something, that makes them laugh.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's always that.
I know.
So, but thank you so much for sharing.
I'm honored.
with us.
I love it. Like I said, you do not stop this. I love it.
And I would love to have you here again.
Anytime. And we can do something more specific, next time, getting into home inspections or something like that.
That would be really good.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And
Thank you.
if anybody has any questions for Kevin, comment below. Or where can people reach you if they have any questions for you or want to get into the business of real estate?
Yeah. So my email is just my name. So it's kevinarcher@kw.com. No dots or anything. And then my cell number is 712-259-6237. So,
or you can also give me a call.
Yeah. Call Kim, any business. So she's the one you want. And then any business questions about getting into the business, call me. And I'll get you connected. So Chris Delfs, myself, Ashley Johnson, we take care of all that part. So
yeah. So you guys definitely don't be afraid. Reach out. No question is a dumb question. If you're afraid to get started, just reach out. Don't be afraid. Yep. They're really cool.
We'll help
like
you.
when I came, because like when I came, I was so nervous, and then when I started talking to you guys, I just felt like I was part of the family already.
And you fit in immediately too.
Yeah. So and you can also reach out to me at 712-301-1997. Any questions you guys have, or comment below, give us a call, send us a message. We're here for you, and thank you so much for watching.